Welcome back. Welcome back to Team Conscious Creators Sunday morning spiritual celebration. We're here every Sunday at 11 o'clock for about an hour to allow our spirits the opportunity to express, to be the guide, to be our lead, to lead us into celebrating, to just starting a joyous week off in the spirit. Because like we said earlier, that we are indeed spiritual beings having a physical experience in these beautiful bodysuits of ours and in this beautiful world, in this beautiful earth, this beautiful universe, this place that was created just for us. I moved this morning to remind you that you are indeed loved. All of this, all of what you see that's around you, your beautiful life, those things that you find to be so grateful for, and you want to express your gratitude for. It was done and created and made with you in mind, specifically you in mind. And it's given us the opportunity to recognize that and to not only appreciate it, but to live up to it, live up to it, live up to the wonderful creation that we have been placed into. And how we're doing with it. My motto is manifest best. God did it all. It was created, everything was done. And I think on that day that he rested, and before he rested, it was said that I finished. So everything that we bring into our experience, into our existence, was already created. We're just learning how and teaching ourselves how to bring it into our experience and manifest it into our reality. But it's already there. God said he finished on that seventh day. He was done. He was done. He kicked back. He's probably somewhere sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, watching us, watching us to see how we're going to pull things out of the atmosphere that he's already placed there for us to enjoy. Hey, we bumble around with it. We bumble and stumble around with it all the time, but it's part of our game. We're just babies compared to God. We're baby gods, godlings. My grandma used to call us little godlings, so we're baby godlings. So we're learning. So keep on learning and keep on manifesting those wonderful things that your benefactor have placed out there in your reach, that you can just pull into your experience. We're learning how to do that. But you were loved because he did it. He put it out there for you. And, just keep yourself tuned in. On Sundays, we're here and we're talking about our spiritual self. And that's an opportunity for us to be reminded of all of the unique, awesome, power, splendid, just crazy kind of powers that we have in our possession and in our being. We wander around half our times, with our heads down and scratching and just trying to figure it out. And all we need to do is just tune in to who we are and to whose we belong to, and see and hear and get to know and understand. Hey, you got it. You got this. And let me just open up, kind of open up the door for you and shine the light on, let the sun shine on. All right, bring it to your memory, bring it to your thoughts and to your mind, so you can see that you're in a candy store, baby. You're in a candy store, and whatever it is that you want on that shelf, it's already been paid for. You've got to figure out how to get it off the shelf and get it into your life. So that's what we do on Sunday. We talk about that. We are talking about good. And the thought for the week is simple as this: I'm a good person and I'm a bad person too. And so are you. That's what we're going through the week, thinking and talking and understanding about, and reminding ourselves and reminding others and reminding ourselves about each other that, we're good, we're bad, we're loved. And so is everybody else. Nobody's any gooder or badder than any of us. We're all in this together, wandering around trying to figure out how to get the stuff off the shelf so we can experience it, huh? So I am a good person and a bad person too, but so are you, just like you. One of the quotes that I have been meditating on this week is by a motivational speaker by the name of Marcus Buckingham. Buckingham, I think his last name. And he says, good is not the opposite of bad. The opposite of bad is not, not bad. The opposite of good is not bad, he says. The opposite of bad is badder. All right. So don't think that bad, the opposite of bad is good. It's not, no, it's not. It's just not badder. It's just not bad. Okay. All right. So as we discussed last week that according to God and the scriptures and the Bible, the opposite of bad, the opposite of good is evil. And and I continued this week trying to find in the scriptures. And I've looked at several, not only, the Holy Bible, but I've looked at some other things, some other script of other holy books from other points of religious perspectives. And I didn't find an opposite. I didn't find bad to be the opposite of good in any of them at all. Which is something that I want to place on the forefront and on the table today. Is I want us to, going forward, especially this week, is to get a more realistic and more scripturally or spiritual understanding of just what good and bad means. I want us to be a little bit more discriminate when we use the words good and bad. When we start labeling ourselves and our situations and our friends and our relatives and our family members good and bad. I want us to really start looking at it like God looks at it, like Father, like our Creator looked at it. Because absolutely everything in this beautiful world that we live in and we experience was created by a loving, good, great Father. Our benefactor is all good, all good. And remember last week when I shared that even Jesus, who we all, as Christians, as believers, would say that he is the original Son of God. Well, yeah, okay, just don't leave yourself out of there either. Don't say original. But he was the notable one. He was the first of many. And I say that because Jesus knew who he was, right? Jesus knew who he was. He knew that he was indeed the Son of God, which meant that he was also God. He knew that. But we're here, stumbling around, trying to acknowledge that and understand that and prove that and try that and test that and be that. That's what we're here doing. We're doing that. But Jesus already knew it. So when his disciples, or whoever they were, somebody was talking to him, he was sitting around teaching. He was sitting around teaching and he was sharing, the things that his Father had given him and directed him, commanded him to share and to teach those around him. He was dubbed, and one of the disciples or one of the students, the people that were actually listening to him at that time, called him the good teacher. And Jesus said, good. Why do you call me good? Why do you call me good? Now, and like last week I said, I don't believe that he was denying that he was good, but he was probably at awe because the other person thought that he was good or that he said that he was good. And a lot of times, and sometimes I just like to just kind of, be a fly on the wall, when I'm, reading and going back to those Bible studies and those Bible stories about Jesus and some of the things he was saying. And I would just like to just kind of be a fly on the wall of his mind and really understand exactly what he meant. But one of the things that I'm impressed about, or that's been impressed on my heart and my spirit and my knowing and my relationship with my Father is that, yeah, what do you, when you say, do you know what you're saying? Do you know what you're saying? So if I was standing in Jesus' shoes, I'd be like, no, does he really know what he's saying? Does he really get down to the nitty-gritty of what he's saying. So Jesus said, why do you call me good? What is he thinking? What is this man thinking? Is he really recognizing who I am? Then if he's recognizing who I am, he surely must know who he is. So let me ask him again. Why do you call me good? When there is none, Jesus went on to explain this to him, when there is only one that is good, and that is God, my Father. He didn't deny that he was good, but he was letting him know that Father is good, which makes me good. That makes me good. The life that's on the inside of me, that life that gives me the breath and the motivation and the mobility that I have and I can experience and I can do and activate, that life, that's good. That goodness is on the inside of me. And because I know that the same life that gives you motivation and gives you the breath and gives you the opportunity, it's the same life that's in me. So you must know that I am good, and so are you. All right. So when we start labeling each other, I want us to remember that. Remember that what you say of someone else, when you put that label on someone else, especially if it's good, you're talking about yourself too. Likewise, if you put that label of bad on someone else, you're talking about yourself too, because the same life that's in me is in you. Same life. Same life. Now, according to the Bible and the scripture, we can do evil acts. We can do evil acts. And by doing evil acts, then we're acting in a evil or not so good way. All right. So we can do evil acts, and those acts are certainly unfavorable. They're not good. We wouldn't label them as good. We wouldn't label them as something that we ought to be doing. You know, the thing is, we always know. We know. We have that innate nature of goodness in us that we know, or we're not acting good or acting out of that goodness. When we're acting out of something other than the goodness, which just means that we can act out of something that is not good. So something that's not good is in me too. So I have a dual life source or something going on in me that's dual kind of things. I mean, you know, I think Paul in the New Testament, he says, the things that I really want to do that's good, I don't seem to be able to do them, you know, sometimes. And the very thing that I don't want to do, sometimes I'm just so eager to do. Because we have two natures living on the inside of us side by side that's kind of competing for who's gonna win in this situation, who's gonna win in this way. When we understand that, and when we understand that our true nature, that God-given nature, that spiritual nature in us is innately good, because that's the goodness of our Father, our Creator. We're made out of the same stuff, out of the same image. We can do and have and be and act and say, and we can do all that our Father can do, we can do as a spirit being. Now we're limited, you know, by the body, of course. We can't, spirit can hover over water and walk on water and do all kind of, but as a physical body, I'm housed in here, so I'm restricted and limited. But the life that's in me, this body's dead. Without me, the life that's in me, this body would be dead. So the life that's in me can do all things. The body can't. As long as I'm housed in a suit, I can't make this body walk through a wall. But if I leave this suit in a flash, in an instant, I can be millions of miles, I can be in other galaxies, because the life that's in me is unlimited, unrestricted, infinite, totally infinite. And that's the goodness. That is the good part of us. That's the good part of us. This human nature of us, not so good, but not so bad either. Not so bad either. And just remember that. So what I want to do today is I want to open a discussion, or I just want to give you my understanding of the use or the references of a good person and a bad person. And again, I want to remind you, they're simply labels. They're just plain old labels that we use on ourselves and each other. Because as Jesus again so precisely and distinctly put it, there's only one who is good. There's only one who is good. And that is that life that's in you, that life-giving life that's in you. Again, if that life wasn't in you, you'd be dead. When that life leaves this body, it goes back to the dust, it dies, it decays, it goes back to the elements from which it came. And the spirit that's in us goes on into infinity, into other lives, into other, just doing whatever, I don't know. So there's only one that is good, and then again, that is that life that's in you. So again, my hope this morning is that we will become more clearer, and we'd be more discriminate, we'll be more definite when we use the word and the terms good and bad in referencing, especially human beings, especially each other. The word good first appeared in the Old Testament, in the Bible, when I was doing my research in the Bible, and it was the very first book of the Bible, and it was in Genesis. And the word good was associated in all first 7 cases of the word good that I found were associated with the creation story. It was in reference, the word good was in reference to the creation story. That was the first time it was ever used, right? And it said, it was used in a part of a phrase, but it said, it was good. It was good. And now that was in reference to the creation. Now we know in this story, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we know in this creation story that it took 7 days for Creator, for God, for Father to create this beautiful, vast world that we live in and we have our existence in, and we can run around in our meat suits in. It took 7 days to do that. So in those 7 days, it said in the scriptures, in that creation story, that after everything that he created, God created, he saw that it was good. Everything. For instance, the first thing that he created, of course, was light. He separated the dark from light from darkness, separated them. And he looked at light and he said, he saw that it was good. The second thing that he created was the land and the sea. He separated the waters from the land, from the waters and the land from each other, and he made dry spaces, and the water was here and the land was there, and the firmament, and he did all of that. And that was the second instance that he saw that those things were good that he created, that he made. The third thing, vegetation. He furnished the whole planet with vegetation, with plants, beautiful plants, gardens galore. Everywhere you looked was a lush garden somewhere. And he saw that was good. Third time he said, the third reference of good was that creation of the vegetation. And then he created the sun and the moon and the stars and all of those things that glitter in the sky. And he said of that, the fourth time, he saw that was good as well. Then he turned around, I guess, and he looked around, and he wasn't finished, of course, because he knew what he was doing when he was doing all this. Totally, he knew. He had, and by the way, he had you in mind. He had me in mind. He had us in mind when he was doing this. So, okay, now he said, looks at the water and he says, something needs to be in there. Because they're going to need it. That's probably what he said. Just like they're going to need the sun. Just like they're going to need the moon. They're going to need the stars. They're going to need all of those things. They're going to need this vegetation, this garden that I planted. They're going to need to be able to see. So they need the light. The darkness is going to be there. Remember, he separated the light from the darkness, so the darkness is still there. So they're going to need to see out of that darkness. They're going to have to be able to see. So light, sun, moon, vegetations, and then he looked at the waters and he filled the waters with fish, put some birds in the sky and the air, so they flutter around, do what they do. That was on the 5th day. And with the 5th time, he saw that it was good. Again, what is he doing? What is God doing? He's creating. Everything that God created is good. Good is what he called it. He saw that it was good. On the day number 6, he put animals. He made our little doggies and our puppies and our cats and our, the sheep and the lambs and all those animals, the emus, all those things that, walk and have their, like bears, lions and tigers and bears. He furnished the land with animals. Animals. There was life. The garden was life. The fish, those were life. There was living things that he furnished in all of this greatness, all this vastness. And that was the 6th time that he said, or the word good was used in reference to his creation, what God was doing. I want you to keep that in mind when I'm saying that. Creation is an act of doing. It's an act of something going on, something happening. Right? I know. In the Bible, it says that he spoke. He spoke all this out. Yeah, he spoke it out. First. Then he went behind the scene, behind the curtain, and he made it happen. He said it, and he did it, right? The very last thing that God created in that 7-day span was man. And he said, he saw that all of that he had created was good. And he created man. And you know what he said about man? He didn't just say that man was good. He said man was very good. He saw that it was very good. All right? I don't know about you, but I know I like to be very good than just plain old good, So what made me very good? I'm going to tell you what makes you and I very good. The birds, the bees, the lions, the trees, the flowers, the roses, all those, the stars, the moon, all of those are good. But we're very good because we, man, human beings, were created out of the same stuff. Not, everything else was made out of the same stuff too, but God put a little special ingredient on us, right? On us, he breathed into us himself, his life, and his power, and his knowing, and his abilities. All of that he breathed into us. And each one of us have that in us. Each human being is very good because you have a great God living on the inside of you. Get in touch with it. Get to know it. Get to know how your Father, your Creator, your source could say a word, then go behind the scene and make it happen. Because we have the same power to do the same. Right? You got something hidden from you? Just figure out how to go behind that curtain and get it done. Speak it first. Speak it out first. Because that's what he did. God spoke and there was light. God spoke and the garden flourished. So we can do the same thing. So here we see the reference of good in association with an act of creation. Not just some merely, I think I want to go buy a new Cadillac creation kind of thing. Or I want to take a vacation to, I don't know, Timbuktu kind of thing. No. God created out of love. God created absolutely everything out of love. The world, those first 6 days he created, he had us in mind. He created it because he loved us. He created it because he knew what we would need, what we would want, what we would desire, how we would, he knew. And he wanted to make sure that everything that those precious little ones whom I'm going to breathe my life into is going to need in their existence and their fun and their having and enjoyment and the experience that they're going to have in this creation. I want to make sure they got everything they need. It's there. It's here. Absolutely everything you need is here. So sometimes we have to scratch our hands and say, where is it? Yeah, go on and scratch your hand and say, where is it? But know that it's here. Now, to find it, that's another whole different story for goodness. That's a different kind of power, okay? But I want us to think about that. I want us to think about that, and I want us to note that everything that God did was good. Not one thing was bad. Not one thing was bad. I will add this in the story. I went on to read in the story, and I think it was, I'm not sure, toward the end of Genesis. I know God said that he kind of regretted that he kind of made man because we kind of, we blew it. We kind of did some things that disappointed him, made him feel kind of sad about it. But he didn't wipe us out and start all over again. No, he just felt bad about it. And he went about trying to figure out a way, or coming up with a way. I shouldn't say figuring out because he knew. He came up with a way to save us, even after we mess up. Even after we mess up, he saves us. God will always look at us. Through the eyes of God, we are nothing but good. Through the eyes of God, we are only good. To the eyes of God, we are very good. So don't be calling yourself bad, or your kids bad, or your neighbors bad, or the banker bad, or the president bad, or the secretary bad, or the dog's bad, or this bad. Everything that God created was good. Was good. And even those invisible things that we create, we may create them. We may bring them into our existence for the wrong reason. Remember, God created out of love. He created out of necessity because he knew what we would want and need in years and eons to come. And when he said he was finished, he was finished. He is probably somewhere with this, smoking a cigar on a sofa with his legs crossed, watching us and seeing us running around, I don't know, like on an Easter egg hunt, trying to find the hidden eggs. They're there. They're there. There's everything we need, everything we could possibly need is already made for us, already created, already stashed away, already put aside for us, just for you, just for me. Because God knew me. This world has been around for eons, more than just forever, as far as I'm concerned. But at the instant of creation, right before the first act, God knew he had me in mind. He had you in mind. Yeah. He had our foreparents in mind. He had our children's children in mind. He had people in mind that ain't even born or thought of yet, because he knew what we would need. So think about it. We are good, very good. Not because of who we are or what we do or how we do it. By a long stretch, we're not. That's not why we're good. We're only good because of the light that's in us. The Creator is in us. That's the good part of us. And that's what Jesus was shocked to hear this man say out of his mouth. Because sometimes, like my grandma would say, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Sometimes it doesn't connect, the mind and the heart don't always connect in man. Because we got that human nature in us, and there's a little barrier there. So while we're trying to think in the flesh, this man was speaking to God, to Jesus, and he didn't even realize he was speaking in the spirit to Jesus. But Jesus was, oh, okay. we got some hope here. Maybe he does understand the good. He gonna call me good. If you really know who I am, then he knows that he's good too. Just have to be thinking that. I'm not thinking for Jesus, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying that he was a spiritual man. He knew that he knew who he was. And he tried, I know that he was doing his very darndest to help us all at that time, during that period, during that season, to find out who we were and who we are. Spiritual meaning of good can be understood in several different ways. And I'm going to kind of rattle these off and then I'm going to be done because I'm a little bit over my time limit here. But okay, one way we can look at the goodness in a spiritual perspective is as a moral characteristic. Moral characteristic. Goodness is a moral characteristic of a person and is defined as virtue, virtuous. You may hear people say virtuous. That's another label that folk will put on us. Holy, holiness, you're holy, holier than thou. Nobody's holier than thou. We're all holy the same. Holiness in actions and things we do. Virtuous and things that we do. They also characterize spiritual goodness as being upright, as opposed to being low down, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, being righteous, living a life that exemplifies a heart filled with love and kindness and respect and empathy and compassion with each other. And some examples of goodness. I mean, some you can label it, but you want to know what does it look like? This goodness and holiness and uprightness. Well, it looks like somebody that's being helpful to I don't know, but helping the poor, feeding the poor, being kind to their neighbors. Making sure that they're taking care of this beautiful planet that was created for them. That's kindness. That's being upright. That's being a blessing. I guess that's another way of putting it. Being a blessing for somebody else, for someone else. Healing the sick, taking care of the sick. Volunteering. Those are kind of virtuous and holy and upright acts. Goodness is also exemplified spiritually as an act. And I was talking about some of the things that you do. Goodness is not something that is done only. It's how you do it now, not just how you do it, okay? It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not just something that is done only for the sake of being virtuous or being kind or being upright or being a blessing. That's just your nature. That's your nature. You do it because it's just who you are. You're not looking for any pats on the back, high fives, lining my pocket, making my paychecks better. I might, go in my closet or my room and I might pull out a Bible and give it to you. I'm not going to expect you to give me a donation for it. I'm just going to give it to you because there's something in there that, Father might want you to understand, or what you say, being available to you when you're sick, when you're in need. Not because I want something in return. I'm not doing it for the sake of being anything, because I don't need to act like anything, because I am good. I'm good. So I don't have to act it out to prove it to anybody. I am. Just the fact that I am alive and living in this body, that's all the proof that I need, that I'm good. That's all the proof that God needs or Father needs. My life is in her. She's good. Yeah. So goodness is also a response to God. I am like my grandmother called me a godling, a little godling, your little godlings, she called us. Because we are, whether we want to or not, we are the hands, the feet, and the mouth of God. We represent God here in this realm, to the animals, to the universe, to the stars, to the moon, to the sky, to each other. we represent God. And God is good. God is great. God is even more, he's more than very good. God is omnipotent. God is just the bomb, right? So the Bible says that good versus evil is a choice and is determined by a person's response to God. Now, I know that I'm in the flesh. I know I'm a body. And I know I have these things that I want to do as a person, as a body, and I want, things to go my way, and I want to feel like a certain way. I want my body to feel like and look like a certain thing. But my spirit is totally beyond that, totally beyond that. So when I'm walking in my spiritual self, I can't be anything but good. But when I'm battling with my flesh self and my spirit self, sometimes the body overcomes or overtakes. That's what we say. Sometimes evil overcomes good, but I want good to always overcome evil, or the worst part of me, or that selfish part of me, or that whatever part of me. I want my spirit man to be the winner each time, because I know without a doubt, absolutely everything my spirit man does is going to be good. But I can't speak that way so assuredly about my flesh. I can't always say that. Everything I do out of my own thoughts and my own flesh and my own energy and my own fleshly energy is going to be good. Right? I know that. So when we act in response to God, God hears us. Get this, listen very carefully to this, and it might give you some freedom here. When God hears and sees us, he sees us as that spirit self, because he knows that the flesh, it's here. It's designed and devised for here only. And here is where it's going to stay. So when God sees the spirit man in us, the acts in us, he deems them good. He deems them good because he's looking at us through the eyes of the spirit that's way beyond the body. Goodness is also in God's sight. Goodness has a plan of redemption for all the things that we do in the flesh. All the things that we do in the flesh that is not so good or bad. God has already devised a redemption for us. A redemption plan. It's already planned. God will never see you any other way. As a spirit man, it's been good. No matter what you do, no matter what your body or your flesh seem to be the winner of, ultimately, your spirit man is going to be the winner. God knows that. And I hope that you can understand that. I hope that you can understand that, because that will give you so much freedom. And not only freedom to do whatever the heck you want to do, but it'll give you the freedom to forgive yourself for those things that you really want to do, that your spirit is just has not just been strong enough to convince the body to give way to. You can forgive yourself for that, because God has already forgiven you for it before it's even done, because God sees your good spirit. He sees your good heart. He sees himself. He sees the life that he put in us as being the foremost, that's beyond all and everything. So, let go of the can do, can'ts and won'ts and bads and terribles, or whatever, how those crazy labels that we put on ourselves, and take on the label of goodness, because that's the eternal label that's you. That's the permanent label of you after your body is back to the dust. That goodness in you is still going to be there. Spotless. All the dirty part of that is going to be that dirty garment that goes back to the dirt and the dust. And nothing's going to be remembered. When he says that he puts everything that, he puts it in a sea of forgetfulness, might be figuratively spoken. But is this true about you? You're made in the image of your creator, and that creator is good, great, omnipotent, most powerful. Nothing is better or could be better than God, your father, your maker. And there's a life in you that is this exact replica of your creator, your maker. Let us be like our creator, our maker, our father, God. And as we create and as we manifest, as we bring things into our existence, into our experience, do it with the intention of the spirit man of God to make your life fuller, more enjoyable, not hurting anybody, not forsaking anybody, not taking away from anybody else. But what you do is for your good and the good of all concerned. That's how God created. And that's how we should call things out of that creation into our existence, because everything that God created is good. We can use it for bad. That's what, flesh will do that every time, most times. But you are led, be led like your father is led by who you are. The good, the very good being that you are. So like father, like son, like daughter, like you, like me, I'm good because I'm a spirit being. I'm bad because I'm a flesh man. And so are you. Each one of us are. Wear your labels well and wear them wear them with pride and also with humility. Wear those labels, but wear them knowing